Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're doing great, doing awesome in this beautiful morning or beautiful evening, whatever the time you're watching this video. As English teachers, we often get inspired by movies. And to be honest, my greatest investment and inspiration came from movies that I've watched, like Whiplash and McFarland and The English Teacher. Is there an alternative to reading where I can have an access to real, authentic, and organic experience that I learn more, get inspired by, and that is going to make me a beacon for other people to inspire? And then I came across a list of movies that talk about English teachers. And the reason my focus was on English teachers movies is because to some extent I think that they are a reflection of reality, even if some of them are fictional characters and they do not represent necessarily the real life of English teachers and what teachers might have might see in reality. That just came at a very critical point of my time when I was taking ESL lessons in the United States in an English class. And the Russian teacher, who used to be our teacher, she was very strict. Her name is Oksana Kool. She showed us a movie called Freedom Riders. And in that movie, I saw so much inspiration that students got from their teachers and from one female teacher in particular. And I said to myself, I'm not going to be the kind of teacher who just lectures people. That's why I try as much as possible to avoid lecturing, and I hate lecturing so much. And I try as much as possible reading about anything that defeats the idea of lecturing in the classroom, even to some extent that might be the only alternative or the only option for big classes. And I said, I'll watch as many movies in English or in any other language that talk about English teachers. And they will just shrink the kind of human experience and the kind of real, authentic, and organic experience that teachers might struggle with or through with their teachers and what they might come across in the lesson. So, in a nutshell, number of movies that I have gotten a lot of inspiration from. One of them is the Writers. The second is Whiplash, which is one of the best movies that you might be able to access to watch. And the third one is McFarland by Kevin Costner, who's my childhood favorite movie star. So I'll go through some of the movies that I really recommend you watching as an English teacher and learn a little bit of message of peace from these movies, message of humanity, that you have to be a human before you become an English teacher. You have to take the role of inspiration, because nowadays the role of teachers is not to teach or to lecture, but to mentor, to supervise, indirectly to facilitate the process of learning, to become a channel of transferring information, data, facts from books to their students' brains, and to be a beacon to look up for and be an idol for their students to follow this step. So to leave a footprint in the field of teaching and pedagogy, you have to some extent inspire. You have to learn how to give goosebumps to your students when you're teaching them, so that everything that they take for the rest of their lives comes partially from certain experience that you've exposed them to in the lesson. And one particular movie that I truly love, and it's very close to my heart, McFarland. And I'll just go through a list of my favorite movies about English teachers and teachers in particular that I truly recommend you watching, or at least watch one of them every week. Let's get started. Movie number 1 is Dead Poets Society in 1989. And it talks about English teacher John Keating. It inspires his students to look at poetry with a different perspective of authentic knowledge and feeling. The second movie is McFarland, USA in 2015. And the movie talks about Jim White, who moves his family after losing his last job as a football coach. He sees that some of the students are worth starting a cross-country team and turns 7 students with no hope into one of the best cross-country teams. The third movie is Freedom Riders in 2007. And it talks about a teacher who inspires her class of at-risk students to learn tolerance, apply themselves, and pursue education beyond high school. The fourth movie is by our great Denzel Washington, and it's called The Great Debaters. It was shot in 2007. It's a drama based on the true story of Melvin B. Tolson, a professor at Wiley College, Texas. In 1935, he inspired students to form the school's first debate team, which went on to challenge Harvard in the national championship. The next movie is Coach Carter, and it talks about controversy surrounding high school basketball coach Ken Carter after he benches his entire team for breaking their academic contract with him. The next movie is Detachment in 2011, and it talks about a substitute teacher who drifts from classroom to classroom, finding a connection to the students and teachers during his latest assignment. The next movie is The Man Who Knew Infinity, and it talks about the story of the life and academic career of the pioneer, the Indian mathematician Ramanujan, and his friendship with his mentor, Professor G.H. Hardy. The last and one of the best movies is Still Alice, and it talks about a professor who gets Alzheimer's disease, and then it goes through the narrative of her struggle with her family to cope up with this disease and the kind of problems she faces in her life. So these are some of my recommended movies to inspire and to get inspired by. I highly recommend you make a checklist of watching one of them every single week or every single day until you close up the whole list. I'll add a link of the top 50 movies about English teachers and teachers in general from Hollywood and from other world cinemas, and I highly recommend you watch all of them. I have been trying to watch all of them at my convenient time or the time that I have a break. To be honest, I haven't covered all the 50 movies. I haven't watched the whole 50 movies, but I'm getting there. So I highly recommend you start watching one of them every single day. You will be inspired. Have a wonderful day. مدرب اللغة وليد خالد.